For some fairly obvious reasons, there has been a lot of discussion recently regarding the engine Bethesda use in their games and whether or not they need to change it, whether they need to start over and build a new one. And I am of the opinion that they don't need to do that to make a good game, and I've had discussions back and forth with several people, but it's kind of hard to describe this in text, so I'm going to attempt to use this video to explain my thinking. Now, when I say they don't need a new engine, I'm not saying a new engine is not desirable. I'm not saying I wouldn't want one or that it wouldn't help. I'm sure it would. What I'm actually saying is, as bad as it is right now, they could still make a good game on that engine and people would like it. I believe that there are enough people out there who would enjoy a Bethesda Game Studios game even on the current engine. They might prefer it on a newer engine, and I certainly hope that Bethesda are thinking long term and have a roadmap for this. In fact, I would have actually suggested the Elder Scrolls 6 might have been a good point to start that, but I suspect they have not. I know they're replacing the animation engine, I believe, but as far as I know, the current engine they are using, and I use that term a little nebulously, the word engine there, is the same one they've been using for a long time, both in Starfield and Elder Scrolls. They do, or I'm not going to say they do need, they really should be looking at coming up with a roadmap for starting afresh. They really should. I think that would be wise. But right now, Bethesda could release a game that I believe would be good on the current engine. And I believe that because I think content is king. Now, rather than try and give you lots of fancy arguments, what I want to do is give you a little thought experiment, a sort of a what if, and I want you to imagine an alternate timeline. I want you to imagine this scenario. You remember back in, was it summer, when they started to tease on Twitch, they started to tease Fallout? And we were all like, oh my god, what is it? Is it Fallout 5 already? How can they have got Fallout 5 out? And some people were like, no, it's Fallout 3. It's remastered. They're going to release Fallout 3 on the Fallout 4 engine. And then some people went even further and said, oh, what happens if it's Obsidian? Maybe they've given Obsidian the license to make another Fallout game. It's a spin-off. It's New Vegas 2. Do you remember that? Remember everyone was going completely and utterly nuts, thinking what it could be? Well, what I want you to do is imagine the latter was true. They teased us, and then they came out and said, hey guys, we have been working with Obsidian. We gave them a license for our engine, we fixed a few bugs, and they have been working for the last 3 years for a Fallout spin-off. And maybe it would be Fallout New Vegas 2, or maybe it would just be something else, but by Obsidian. And we're all like, oh my god, an Obsidian Fallout. And then the E3 comes and we see game footage of it. And we see not a dialogue loop circle thing. We see a list of meaningful dialogue, and we see the return of skills and traits. We see things like that. We see lots of different role-playing elements that we think just remind us so much of Fallout New Vegas. And we just start thinking, oh my god, this game could be awesome. This game could be brilliant. And then it releases, and it comes out, and we all get it, and it is. Imagine the content is as good as Fallout New Vegas. The dialogue, the quests, it's got all the factions, it's got the dark sense of humor, it's got all the meaningful choices. It's the experience you had in New Vegas, only in a new game on the Fallout 4 engine. I want you to imagine that comes, and it's everything you would want from New Vegas 2, right? It's there. It's the Fallout 4 we really wanted. This is the game we wanted in 2015. I want you to imagine that is what happened. And now tell me that is not a good game. Now, I know some people might not be interested in that. And maybe I'm alone. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I am insane. But I'd play that game. Oh, God, I'd play that game. If I had an alcoholic beverage right now, I'd be weeping into my... You know what? Give me a second. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm just suddenly in the mood. So, yeah, imagine that game. Oh, God, I broke the... See, in my excitement, I broke the call. Excuse me. Okay, got my drink. Had a minor crisis. I managed to break the cork on my single malt. I have no idea how I did that. My excitement at thinking about Fallout New Vegas 2. I didn't break any bits of cork into the whiskey. Not that it would stop me. Anyway, where was I? Yes, that is a game that I would buy. Oh, I did break some cork off into it. Oh, you know what? It's nice cork now. Right. So, yeah, that is a game that I would buy. It really is, and it's a game I would love. And this shows that it is possible to make a Fallout game on the Fallout 4 engine and it be good. And I would suggest that would actually sell and would be well received by the community. And you can do the same for the Elder Scrolls. You could take the Skyrim Special Edition engine, and if they make content that's as good as the content in Morrowind, it would be a great game, I think. For me, I would love that game, even with the old engine. Now, I'm not saying the new engine wouldn't be better. I mean, I acknowledge a new engine would make those even better. But even with the old engine, those games would be great. But here is the buzz killer. Even though it is possible to make a good game on the current engine, the question is, can Bethesda still make that game? That's the big question. And after recent events, it's a serious question that even the most ardent Bethesda Game Studios fan has to wrestle with. But even worse than that, my opinion is, if they cannot make a game like that, a game that I just described, if they cannot make a good game with the current engine, I see no reason why they can make a good game with a new one. Because a new one isn't going to, be a silver bullet and provide all the rest. The problem I have with Bethesda Game Studios games recently is not one of an engine, but of content. They've been taking it in a direction that I'm less than happy with, and I think a lot of people share that opinion. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do need a new engine for a different crowd, and I'm just no longer with it. Maybe I'm just no longer with it. They just don't need a new engine to make a game that I would love. They don't need a new engine. They just need the will to make that game. They need to make the sort of games they made before, whether it be Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, Fallout 3, all different games and games I loved for different reasons and in different ways. I think there are strengths and weaknesses in all of them. And I could probably pick and mix from each of them to make my perfect game. But they were all games that have a special place in my heart. But recently, Bethesda have been releasing things that are just... Well, it's not that I didn't enjoy Fallout 4. It just doesn't hold that special place in my heart. And Fallout 76, forget the technical issues, which I didn't really suffer from much. I got a few disconnections. And I did... The key rebinding thing just infuriates me, and it does. But I get infuriated by a few games that do that pretty badly. But even if they had got... imagine Fallout 76. Imagine they come up with a new engine, and in 2 years they swap the old engine out and put a new engine into Fallout 76. To me, it doesn't make Fallout 76 any more appealing. And I'm not even saying Fallout 76 doesn't appeal to me in some minor ways. As I've said before, it's the sort of game that I could possibly have fun playing with some of you guys, just goofing off, having fun. But, you know, it's not a Skyrim. It's not a Fallout New Vegas. It's not something I'm going to end up with 7,000 hours in-game played. And that's what I'm saying. When I say they don't need a new engine, I mean they could make a great game on the current engine. Honestly, right now, I would still rather play Fallout New Vegas than Fallout 4. And Fallout 4 does have a better engine. I mean, it is better. But Fallout New Vegas just has better content. It's a better game. Anyway, I hope that cleared it up. So, yeah, I'm not saying a new engine wouldn't be nice. I'm not saying I wouldn't appreciate it or that it wouldn't help. But what I'm saying is they've actually got, for me anyway, to make a game that I really want to buy and play, they got bigger things to focus on. They've got more important things, in my opinion. And again, I accept that maybe I am out of touch. Maybe I'm an old man who's just been doing this too long and the world has moved on and, you know, people want different things to me. That is, of course, a possibility. Oh, one last thing. One thing I know people do say is that, well, they need a new engine because, you know, the current one has too many bugs and they just can't fix it. They can. Most of the bugs people point out can be fixed and very often are fixed by the modding community. So even that, I mean, you know, imagine what I just described, the Fallout 4 with Fallout New Vegas 2 content, but with all the serious bugs, the ones that have been around for ages and that the modding community was able to fix. Imagine those were fixed. Oh, I'm still imagining that game. I should stop doing that. I'm going to end up really consuming a lot of this whiskey. I'm wondering whether I should do. I've got to check to see if there's any more pieces of cork. I don't actually know what happens to whiskey if you leave pieces of cork in it for long periods of time. Yes, I'm trying to find an excuse to drain the bottle now. Anyway, so that was it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the engine's good. I'm just saying that's not where I want the focus to be. Okay? So, anyway, I'm going to go off and get to know this beverage a little better. Good night.
Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today.